Broadcasting from New York, I am Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Journeys. Thank you once again. I am eternally grateful for those of you who tune in here every week to listen to me. Without you, CWS would be meaningless. This evening, we have a daughter of our soil, Tangerine Clarke. I am very happy to have Tangerine because one of the reasons why I've decided to have a conversation with Tangerine is because of her body of work. Everywhere I turn within the community, whenever there is some major event going on, Tangerine is there as a journalist, capturing the essence of Guyanese lives. Tangerine believes it is important to promote the goodness of Guyanese, and I think that we have a unique opportunity at this turn of the century to present ourselves to the world in a very positive way. And it's one of the reasons why I come here every week, and I have a guest. As most of you know, my guests are not only Guyanese, they are international guests, but I like to select a Guyanese of note and a Guyanese of promise to show the world and to show our diaspora and to remind us that we can, and there are Guyanese out there who are doing wonderful things. I'm not going to take a break, I'll just bring on Tangerine. There she is. Tangerine, good evening and welcome to CWS.
Thank you so much, Selwyn. It's an honor to be here. We've been trying to connect for a long time, but
That's
my
true.
busy schedule. But I have to say, I love your studio,
Thank you.
and it's awesome to be here. Thank you so much for that beautiful introduction. I love it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anytime, anytime. Tangerine, I'm just going to jump right in. I won't ask you to tell me who you are, but can you tell us what are three positive qualities you think about when you think of yourself?
Well, first of all, I think I love people. That's the first thing that comes to mind. I love people, and that is why I'm a volunteer. I'm so passionate about tonight you'll hear me use three words: passion, determination, and faith, because these are three amazing words that I use throughout my life and my journey. I also love life, and you will see it, as you said, you see it in my work, because I go out every day and I'm inspired by myself. I inspire myself to do, the best that I can do, and to promote people and to encourage people and inspire people. And these are things that I just love doing.
I'm just going to follow the flow. What is one thing you discover about yourself that you wouldn't mind teaching a young person?
I don't know. I mean, there's so many things about me that I would love to share and to teach. I would say my love of life, I think, I would love to tell people how beautiful life is and how they should enjoy life. And those are that's what I discover about myself, that I love life and I get out there every day and I enjoy it.
If you were not doing what you're doing as a career, well, let me back up a little bit. A seasoned journalist who has covered the Caribbean community, Fashion Week, fashion editor, public relations director for Guyana Cultural Association at one time, radio broadcaster, and you have worked on political campaigns. Of all these hats you've worn, which appeals to you the most? I know it's unfair, but...
Well, I would have to say I would go away from all of those things, and become a social worker.
Social worker.
because of my love of people. Selwyn, I am a born helper. I am always helping someone. I'm out there always, looking for something new to do and something that would inspire and to help someone. So I would have to say a social worker, leaving the media behind and leaving all of those things, to say I would love to work with people.
Talking about working with people, what is interesting about you, Tangerine, is that when people think of you, most people at least, they think of this journalist, this person who is usually wherever there is a Guyanese event happening or something new that is happening, Tangerine is there covering it. But you do something else. I mean, there's another career that you have.
Well, yeah, I work somewhere else that I really don't want to talk about.
That's fine.
But yeah, we all have 9 to 5 jobs, right? Don't we? Because I mean, I would love to work as a full-time journalist. Covering assignments from 9 to 5.
Why?
Because I love to write. I love reading and writing. My life's journey has been about writing, reading and writing.
When did you realize that you like to write and you want to write?
Well, first of all, I grew up this very shy person. I was born in Lodge Village in Georgetown, which is a greater Georgetown now. And I don't know, when I was in primary school, I had a lot of pen pals. But let's back up a little bit. Let me regress and say that I was very good at writing when I was in primary school. And this led to me, writing to pen pals. Back in the day, you used to have pen pals, something like that, where you would write and you would, most of my pocket change, as we say back in Guyana, used to spend on writing paper and stamps.
Yes.
And I would write, as a matter of fact, at one point, I had like about 32 pen pals.
Wow.
I don't know how I did it. I had sent my name to Radio Antilles. Back in the day, they used to have, these broadcasts, these programs, and you would send your name to Radio Antilles and people would write you letters. And I had listed my name in the Guyana Graphic, I think it was. So I had a lot of pen pals. And this just developed into this passion for writing, and meeting people and talking with people and writing to people and, exchanging your views and your loves and your hobbies and things like that. And I think it progressed to a better form of writing. And as someone who has been a member of a number of organizations, I always found myself in a situation where I had to write something. And I remember being a member of the trade union youth movement. And every Sunday when I go to meeting, we would have like a program. And this one particular time, you had to, there was a potluck. You had to put your hand in a bag and take out something to talk about. And I pulled out this topic, and it said, how do you see, or what do you see yourself as in 10 years, something like that. So I got up and I started to talk, and I said, I'm passionate about writing. I would love to be a journalist and things like that. And there was someone in the audience who said, well, if you want to, why don't you just write? I said, okay. And I submitted my first article to the Guyana Chronicle. And that is how I started writing. I became a cub reporter. And I was out covering assignments. I became a features writer. And it developed over the years.
You mentioned Lodge. Give us a glimpse of your life at, let's say, age 8 and 15. What do you remember of those?
Well, 8. 8, I was, just as I said, a very shy little girl. 9 year, when I became 9, age 9, I should say, I lost my dad. So that was a sad period in my time, which I don't remember much about it because I was very young. But 9 years old, I was still very shy. I don't remember doing much at 9 years old. But as I grew into myself, I think from writing, as I said, I'm going back to that reading and writing. Yeah. And Selma, let me share with you that today I have read 104 books since I'm living in America.
Wow.
104 books. I mean,
congratulations.
Yes. That's how passionate I'm. I should say I'm an ardent reader. I read a lot, and I think I gain a lot of knowledge from reading. And but I mean, I don't remember doing much like between the ages of 8 and 14 and 15 because I think I was lost in doing too many things.
I got you.
Yeah.
What is your favorite memory of, you You said you lost your dad when you were about 8 or 9. What was your favorite memory of both of your parents?
Oh, my parents. They got married when I was very young or whatever. I think I was born already when my mom and my dad got married. I was like the firstborn, born. And we remember growing up in a house with all of the kids. And back in the day, remember Guyanese, we all lived in the same house, the aunts
Yes.
and uncles and everything and stuff. And that's what I remember, all of us living together and sharing everything, you know. So it was a great time,
Great
I
time.
think, for me growing up.
I personally have seen you interact a lot with your mom, and I've witnessed the camaraderie and the love and all of that. Is she considered your best friend?
That's my best friend. My mom is my best friend. We do everything together. We share everything together. You know, whenever I travel, I would take her and hear her on some of my travels because I remember when I was a kid, she would always say, "Oh, I would love to go to Paris," and then it happened. I took her to Paris.
Wow.
You know, so that was an beautiful experience. We flew to London where my cousin lives, and then we took the Eurostar to Paris, and we spent like 5 days in Paris, and that was an amazing experience.
What
you
do you
know.
enjoy a lot when you were together with mom?
Oh gosh, everything. We talk about everything. I mean, she's my trusted buddy. You know, we share thoughts, and we talk about everything. I mean, I don't hide anything from my mom. She is my closest friend, my closest ally in everything I do. So, yeah, we are very close.
Women, you're a strong woman. Your mom is.
Extremely strong.
Who are some women you admired as a child when you were growing up in Guyana?
I would say my grandmothers, my mother's mother. She was an extremely strong woman. She worked very hard, and she took care of the entire household, the family, you know. And my mom too is a strong person in the fact that after my dad died, she was left, you know, to fend with 5 kids, you know. And back in the day, I mean, you know, I don't know if, you know, she as being she was nurturing and everything and stuff, but I don't think that she had the independence, you know, like I have today.
Right.
I think I'm an extremely strong woman, very strong and very passionate about whatever I do, and very independent with everything I do. I do everything for myself, everything.
This
think of.
came from mom and your grandmother.
This had that, yeah, my grandmother, I think, my grandmother.
If I'm just curious about this, I want to spend a little more time on this. If the three of them were to get together and be telling the young ladies of the family, the young girls of the family, some stories, what kind of story you think the three of them might?
Well, what they would say is you should be determined and should be grateful and passionate for whatever you want to do in life, you know, and work towards that particular goal. Whatever goal it is, you set whatever standard you set for yourself, you work towards that, you know, and your life will be successful and meaningful.
Now you started journalism in Guyana. You came over here and you went for it. What was it like in the earlier days? What type of challenges you had in the beginning?
In the beginning, I would say having to write with a pen, record all of those interviews. You had to be writing. I mean, living in America now, you see how easy it is. I could use my cell phone, my iPhone to record an interview and things like that. But back in the day, that was very challenging. And then not only that, you had to go out, cover that assignment, you know, record that interview with pen and paper, go back to the Chronicle, type up that story and have it ready. You know what I'm saying? That was very challenging, you know, but you know, because of I was passionate about it, you know, I prevailed, I think, you know.
You've been doing this for a while, Tangerine. I mean, you're experienced, people call you or your paper send you an assignment, you know what you want. After covering Caribbean events and Caribbeans for a while, what do you believe your readers expect from you?
Well, I think they like accuracy. You know, they want to make sure that when they give you an interview, you know, when that story is complete and it's in the paper, you know, it's what they said, or they said, whatever, you know, because some people, you would interview them and say, I didn't say that.
Right.
I said, but I have my tape recorded to prove that you said it. Things like that. Yeah. So I think sometimes people, they want a perfect interview. They want a perfect article from you. But then sometimes they weren't perfect in their delivery, of their presentation. So sometimes I find myself in trouble. And another thing, whenever you go out in an interview and you have to record that person's name, you
Yes.
make sure you ask them to spell that name, because I've got myself into a lot of trouble by spelling someone's name the way I think it is spelled. But you should ask that person to spell their name. So sometimes people, oh, you spelled my name incorrectly. I said, I did? But is that the way those are a couple of things. But the fact is that when I go out to an interview, I am so excited, Selwyn. When I go to these assignments, I cover from arts and entertainment to fashion, beauty pageants, and everything in between. I even cover politics.
Oh.
I mean, I have found myself in the middle of covering presidents. I mean, I interviewed former President Barra Jagdeo. I went to Guyana and I called him up, and he said, "Sure, come on over." And it was so easy to sit down in front of a president, and interview him, and going forward, I'm hoping that I can, sit down with people who are in, political positions, so that I can say, well, I was able to interview this particular person,
Let's talk fashion for a bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're fashion editor and you've covered Fashion Week, you've traveled throughout the Caribbean to do this. What is one thing you noticed about Caribbean designers that is common among Caribbean designers?
I don't want to say it, but I think for a lot of Caribbean designers, I don't think their work is finished. Yeah, it's not like finesse. There's no finesse in their design work, except for a few who do like couture, like Roger Gary and things like that, and a couple other people. But I would love to see Guyanese designers, do a more finished product, a more finished line or brand, And I think most of them, they do the same kind of design work. I've seen a lot of local designers who I wish that they could deviate from one particular way of designing, So that would be fantastic.
Is this a topic of discussion among other journalists, fashion design journalists?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, because I've covered a lot of shows in the Caribbean. I've covered Fashion Week, and I have noticed like there's this sort of disconnect with some of the designers. I don't know what they are trying to say in some of the work that they put on the runway, but I'm not a designer, so I don't know.
Which would you say is the most memorable fashion week you covered?
Oh gosh, I covered Caribbean Fashion Week in Jamaica a couple of times, and which was a lot of times very tiresome, because you would go to those shows and they would have 6 or 7, sometimes 10 designers walking the runway, saying, how am I going to cover all of these shows? Come on. What I'm saying? It's like one after the other. And I just feel that, sometimes it's just way too much.
Yeah.
If you go to a fashion show, if you have like at least just 3 designers within a 2-hour period, that would be very nice. But to sit through 10 designers.
It becomes tiresome.
It's tiresome. First of all, it's tiresome, and then you just lose, you're like lost. I mean, you sit there and you say, you're tired, you're writing, and what I do after each designer, I would choose who I would go backstage to speak with. I would interview, a particular designer depending on, their collection and stuff. But oh my goodness, that was very tiring for me. I mean, I no longer cover Caribbean Fashion Week. It's
How did you get started in photography? You take a lot of your own shots.
I do.
How did you get started?
That's a very funny story, because when I started out as a cub reporter at the Guyana Chronicle, back in the day, you had to process the film. We used to call it wash the film, right?
Yes.
So I would go out on assignment, come back, finish my article, and I would be sitting waiting on the photographer to wash the picture. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. I said, you know what? No, I'm no longer gonna do this. I'm gonna get my own camera and I'm gonna start taking pictures. Now I started, there was a 110 film
Yes, I remember
back in the
110.
days, little box cameras.
Yeah.
I started with a 110 film and then I moved all my way up, and now today, I have a digital SLR camera that is spectacular. And so I sometimes surprise myself when I see these pictures. I said,
Is this a particular quality of yours where you don't like to depend on others?
oh my gosh, coming back to what I said, Selwyn, I am so independent. I'm an independent person to the extent that I'm like crazed about it. I cannot wait on anyone. As I was mentioning before we started this interview, I would go to an assignment and I would sit and wait patiently for the program to start. And I would say, what is wrong with you? You should leave this place. Do not wait on these people. And it would happen over and over again. So I love my independence. And what I do, I try to get to assignments on time. I try to do things on time. And I just feel that as a person, you have to live up to certain standards. You know what I'm saying? And
You mentioned Guyana former President Barjack here, having sat down with him. Have you sat down with current President Granges yet?
not as of yet. I would love to interview him in his natural environment, in his office.
He was here recently.
He was here recently,
Did you
but
guys speak with
I saw him at the United Nations. He was busy because he had just finished with his presentation, and they just went backstage for a photo op and to meet the expatriates.
Yes.
And then he went to the Guyana mission, to United Nations, and they had a reception for him. He made a presentation, and then he was mingling and mixing. And I said, I don't think it's appropriate for me to just butt in and say, take him away from, the nationals who he was laughing and having a good time with.
If you had his ear right now, what are two questions you want to ask him?
Why did it take you so long to become president? I mean, he's a historian. He's written a couple of books.
Yes.
He was a brigadier, in the army. Why it took you so long? I mean, to become president of Guyana. I mean, I think there were opportunities where he could have, ran for the presidency. So he's now in his 70s, right? I think.
I think so.
Yeah. So I would ask him why it took him so long.
Well, some connoisseurs of wine would say they would rather wait until the wine is cured before they
President
break the
Obama
seal.
didn't wait.
Well, I know.
So
But
I know
President
it's different.
Obama is a totally different environment. An environment like Guyana requires that.
I would also ask him, what is the greatest thing you were hoping to achieve by the end of your term?
I like that.
I would ask him that.
I like that.
And yeah, so and what would be your lasting legacy after you leave office? So these are three questions I would ask him.
Let's take a break on that.